I shamed him in front of friends saying I needed real passion, but he cut me off completely. My name is Anita, female, 24 years old, and currently I think I'm single. I mean, just about a month ago, I could have sworn I had my life all figured out. Who I'd marry, how many kids I wanted, what places to go on my honeymoon and anniversaries, hell, even the schools my kids would attend, which would have obviously been the best, proudly sponsored by my husband. But all that hope is gone, and that brings me down to the reason for this post. I can't exactly say I'm depressed, but I'm definitely just trying to float, and not really okay. I mean, who would be? One minute you have your whole life figured out, and the next you have nothing. A year ago, I met my ex-fiancé. Let's call him Gabriel. He was funny, smart, probably not the best-looking man in the world, but he wasn't so bad himself, and most importantly, he loved me sufficiently and was a provider, and a good chef, too. I could have been living the best life I could ever have asked for right now, but I threw it away. And all for what? Gabriel was into the export business. I didn't bother to know the details, but I know it involved machine parts. When we started going out, everyone was happy for us. Typically, we had mutual friends who couldn't stop shipping us together. My friends would say Gabriel had obviously fallen head over heels for me, and in my case, heels over head. There was obvious chemistry, I must admit, and it was only right that we should end up together. But I guess Gabriel doesn't quite share the same opinions as me anymore. But I mean, he ticked all my boxes, and I did his. I had been single for a long time, and whenever my friends teased and suggested it was high time I got a man for myself and stopped fooling around, I told them I hadn't just found the right one. Of course, I wanted my man to be tall, not too pale, not too brown, muscular, hardworking, but sweet at the same time, and most importantly, a good chef who is not poor. I didn't want him cooking just because he couldn't afford a chef. At first, my friends said I was asking too much, and they sure didn't believe I would find anyone like that until Gabriel came along. We weren't certain he was the one, but he already had the looks, the body. In fact, he had the whole physique. He invited me over a couple of times, but nothing happened between us, like he didn't even make a move. This made me really feel like he didn't want me or wasn't into me or something. And because I had never had anything to do with a Latino man in my life, I wasn't sure what meaning to read into the fact that he invited me all the way to his house just to make me a meal. I mean, I thought Mexicans were usually passionate lovers and that. Then I thought maybe movies do lie after all. Anyway, after that day, I told my friends I wasn't keeping an eye out for him anymore, because he honestly didn't seem physically attracted to me. To me, he seemed to just like me as a friend, and this seemed to go on for months. While my friends kept trying to convince me otherwise, I told myself there was only one way to find out how Gabriel truly felt. Ask. I wasn't going to try to make the first move, despite the fact that I liked him a lot. So I asked him what his true intentions with me were, or if he even had any, and the next thing I knew, he was asking me to travel to his hometown with him later that week. I was so furious that he would ask me that when he hadn't even told me what he wanted me for, or whether he even wanted me at all. According to my friend group, I was overreacting, and Gabriel probably just wanted to do things right by me. And I remember thinking, what does that even mean? Were we in the 80s or what? He could have as well called on me at my home or whatever, because what the hell? Eventually, I got over myself and decided it wouldn't be so bad to take my friend's advice and try out the whole family thing. I even teasingly told my friends that I might just meet the love of my life there. I think I may have jinxed it when I said that, because on getting there, I didn't exactly meet the love of my life, but someone who would later cause me my relationship. Later that weekend, we went out of town to meet Gabriel's family, and that's when I met his cousin. I'll call him Benito. He looked like a god, no joke. He's the kind of person movie characters saw and fainted on the spot. He was so well built and young, probably around my age, and hot and beautiful, but like in a manly way, if that's even a thing. The point is, he was tempting, and I fell. Gabriel introduced me to the rest of his family too, which comprised just his grandma and a few other cousins though, because his parents were deceased. They were all good-looking people, just that Benito was the best-looking. He was also sassy and spoiled and annoyed everyone, but was loved by the same people. As I mentioned, I'm not the kind of girl that would approach a guy even if I liked. But the thing was, I wasn't exactly in love with Benito. It was more of an infatuation. I was attracted to him in every way womanly possible, and he seemed to be giving me hints too. The day after we'd arrived, Gabriel and some other older cousin went out for something. I've forgotten what for, but he invited me, and I said I was still exhausted from the travel. Benito didn't go either, so he was at home when we got talking, and midway he referred to me as his cousin's girlfriend. I hurriedly corrected him and even took offense at it before I could stop myself. But while I apologized for overreacting, he just chuckled, and I don't know why I was smiling at my guess that the laughter meant he found me funny, and probably liked me already. I asked what was funny either way, and he said nothing, just that his big cousin, that's Gabriel, had this habit of bringing girls that weren't his to the house, and so I definitely wasn't the first. My heart sank instantly, and for some reason I felt so embarrassed. Because even though I said I was attracted to Benito, I still very much liked Gabriel, and hoped he genuinely liked me back. The thought of that being a false hope made my eyes swell with tears. You probably know how the rest went. Little cousin was there to console, and I used the opportunity to grab him in a kiss, which he did not try to pull out from. In fact, he engaged. We had sex, and by the time Gabriel and the rest came back, everything just seemed weird, up until the moment when he announced to the entire family during dinner that he had intentions of marrying me. Benito's face looked as surprised as mine when he said that, so my guess was he never stated his intentions with other girls like that, and even if he did, it wasn't something as serious. After dinner, I told him that I didn't think I was exactly ready for marriage just yet, and he said he knew I'd be like that, but he just wanted to prepare his family's mind for what might happen, and that he liked me very much, more than I could imagine. But if I wanted to start dating, then moving in and getting engaged, he was all in whatever sequence I wanted it. I was shy but happy, and guilty all at the same time. Shy because it was what I wanted, but I had already lost hope. Happy because, well, duh. And y'all can guess why I was guilty. Maybe, just maybe, I could have confessed what I did with Benito to Gabriel and risked ending up with the little cousin instead. But I could. The last but most important feature I wanted my man to have was money. Benito was poor on his own, and a spoiled brat too. He was obviously not someone you could even think of depending on. Gabriel and I made out that day, and even had sex. It wasn't as great as what Benito and I had earlier that day, but he wasn't so bad himself. I couldn't bring myself to look at Benito after that. I kind of felt like a bitch. I mean, why else would anyone sleep with two brothers, or cousins? But I knew I wasn't to blame. It's not like we had started dating earlier that day when I slept with Benito, but it should have stopped there. Except it didn't. When we got back from our journey, I found myself looking out for Mexican guys. Like, they were my new favorite thing. I already had a dating app way before Gabriel and I started going out. And who says you have to lock out the rest of the world just because you're in a relationship anyway? I edited my profile to include my new obsession over Mexicans, and I came to realize that compared to the others out there, Gabriel's family wasn't even half as good looking, and they were so romantic and sexy. I could spend my entire day chatting with them, and it still wouldn't be enough. A few months into our relationship, Gabriel and I moved in together, but that didn't make him any less of a sweet guy. He still cooked and did things around the house. I woke up late in the morning to find breakfast by my bedside or brewed coffee waiting for me at the dinning. And later, the cleaner would come around to fix the house up. In my defense, there was literally nothing for me to do that wouldn't be done otherwise. So I mostly just bathed, slept, and ordered food waiting for my boyfriend to come home and make dinner for us or take us out to eat. Gabriel never complained. Sometimes it looked like he had something to say, but it never came out of his mouth. After about a month of living together, he stopped making breakfast for me, or even leaving me with some brewed coffee. And dinner was not even an option. I had to fend for myself. When it happened the first time, I assumed he was in too much of a hurry to go to work, and probably too tired when he got back. Because when he came home, he went straight to bed and didn't bother making anything for himself either. Then came the late nights. He would leave for work before I got out of bed and be back around the time I was fast asleep. I couldn't understand him. I tried talking to him about his recent behavior, because everything was just wrong. Our near-perfect relationship had become something else. We were like two strangers living under the same roof. But that night when I stayed awake waiting for him and finally tried bringing it up as he got home, he was in a rush to escape the conversation. He said he was already too tired, and had a business trip scheduled for the early hours of the next day. I was so pissed that I didn't even bother saying goodbye to him, talk more of seeing him off that day. He was doing that thing he did just before we started dating, acting like I meant nothing more than the regular friends around, not paying me any attention. I hated it all, and I was determined to get his attention back, no matter the means, and I felt anyone could understand me. I was enraged, and rightfully so, because why just stay put and be undervalued when I know there's plenty of people out there who want me? I felt Gabriel didn't know just how much he was missing out, and I would remind him. I mapped out a plan for that entire week. In the beginning of our relationship, Gabriel had made it his duty to provide me with everything, including a credit card in his name. He had all the details, and I knew he'd get alerts for every transaction I made. So I went ahead to pay for a premium on my dating app. It gave me access to more enticing features on the app. I devoted my time to sexting and even making video calls with my affair partners. I gave out my information, and I started getting so many gifts delivered to my home. I even went as far as going on physical dates with this guy, and frankly, I started enjoying the entire thing myself. At first, I was always posting pictures, making sure Gabriel got to see them, but later I realized that I was just being silly. And instead of trying so hard to get Gabriel jealous, I could just enjoy myself, really. And so that's what I did. That 1 week was bliss, really. I can't say I didn't enjoy what I was doing. The makeouts, the sexes, the gifts, I loved every part of it. So I guess you could say I was kind of sad when Gabriel got back and everything had to end. We talked out our issues, and even though he was obviously pained that I did what I did, I think the main reason he even decided to settle was because of the guilt he felt. So while I was busy trying to make my man jealous by posting all sorts of nonsensical pictures and videos on my handle, I didn't realize it drove him to have a one-night stand with a random girl too. When he told me I really wanted to last out, I was so pissed. The only reason I calmed down a little was the fact that I started the whole thing. And he seemed genuinely sorry. We promised we'd start all over, but before that, I demanded to know why he was acting all up in the first place. That's when he complained that I didn't do anything around the house. This too got me furious. Because what did he mean I didn't do anything around the house? I mean, what was the cleaner for? And if it was about the cooking, I never once forced him to cook breakfast and dinner. He did it on his own free will, and left for me. We could just hire a cook. I told him I didn't know how to cook, and so I was avoiding giving him food poisoning, but he just laughed it off and said I could always learn. So I started watching some TikTok and trying cooking recipes, and sincerely, it was a disaster and more strenuous than I thought, but he was always ready to eat the crap I cooked, no matter how bad. It was actually very encouraging, and now I can beat my chest and say if I ever get a man again, he wouldn't be ashamed to bring his friends or even family over for dinner. Anyway, I filled my friends in on what had been going on with me and Gabriel, only after the issue had been resolved, of course. And they agreed that Gabriel was an assistant for not speaking up in the first place. And personally, I think it is very cowardly of any man to notice something wrong with the way his partner is behaving and not say anything. Not just that, but start acting like the other person had done something so wrong even though they had no idea. They didn't ponder much on my going all out with the dating app thing, not until about 2 weeks later. Gabriel asked me to marry him. It wasn't such a grand proposal, but it was nice. We didn't have time to celebrate as much as we wanted that day, so we had another party about 2 weeks later. And that was the day everything went to ashes. Before that, Gabriel asked me to stop going on the dating app for anything at all. So I did. In fact, I deleted it altogether, but I had gotten so used to it all that I couldn't do without it. It was like I was addicted or something. The advertisements of different dating sites that kept popping up on my phone weren't helping matters either. Eventually, I gave up. I convinced myself that I only had a few months before I was permanently locked up with one guy anyway, and that I would adjust with time. But that was probably not the best thing I could have fooled myself into believing, because as the days passed, I got worse. I found myself completely freaking out each time Gabriel did as much as come close to my phone. And I spent even longer hours chatting with my online partners whenever he left for work. It got so bad that I nearly burnt the house down one night while cooking, because I was too busy with my phone. Gabriel started noticing that I stared at my phone even more than him, and I was more distant even during brief conversations. Chuckling and getting my cheeks red when I was texting became a normal thing, And another thing is, I had just gotten engaged like 2 weeks prior. I now feel Gabriel must have been rethinking his choice of proposing to me. And I really don't know why I thought I couldn't do without flirting online or cheating overall. Because as it is right now, I'm utterly single. I've come to terms with that. I don't even own any dating accounts anymore. Our friends organized a small get-together to celebrate our engagement again. They are actually very nice people, and despite everything, I can still count on them when I'm in dire need. We were just catching up and chatting over some drinks when it happened. I don't want to be the pathetic loser that blames their mistakes on alcohol, but it really was the work of alcohol. Because I know I loved Gabriel too much to have used my own tongue to jeopardize what we had and could have had together. Like I said, we were just catching up, and then one of my friends said we were like a roller coaster couple. 1 minute we're moving around sleeping with others out of anger or jealousy, and the next we're snuggling up on each other when we could have just talked the whole thing out in the first place. Gabriel had been quiet throughout, and me being me, I didn't care to ask him what was wrong. After my friend said what she said, I bluntly said Gabriel was being fake when we first started. He acted like he was cool and nice, cooking for me and treating me like a princess at first. But when he thought he had me locked down, he stopped doing anything. And even right then, I wasn't sure if he was being real or not, because he just sat in the corner all the while, saying nothing, observing me. I gestured towards him and said, "See, that's what I'm talking about." Then I told them all loudly that I went out with other men in that period because I wanted real passion, and Gabriel wasn't just it. As if that wasn't enough, my friend kept pinching at my dress to make me stop, but I told her she wouldn't be doing that if she had ever tasted real young-blooded Mexicans in bed. And I didn't stop there. I casually asked if they knew that Mexican men were generally said to be great lovers. Don't know if I said anything after that, but I remember blacking out. The next morning, I woke up to discover I was back in the apartment I lived in months back with my friend. I was still trying to process my thoughts when she came in. I asked her what happened, and she filled me in with all the gist. I was petrified by my own behavior. I picked up my phone to call Gabriel, but my friend said she wasn't sure I'd want to do that. That's when I saw messages from friends I hadn't even talked to in ages. Obviously, the news of my engagement had gone viral, but I didn't think that Gabriel taking his ring away and calling the engagement off the night before would be so loud. Even Benito, whom I'd long forgotten, texted me, saying something about how he knew Gabriel didn't plan on getting married to me. I called Gabriel, but I couldn't get through. I think he had blocked my number or something. I went to the house we used to live in together. It was all locked up. Apparently, he had traveled back to his hometown. I considered following him there, but I had wild imaginations of different ways I could be humiliated if I stepped foot there. So I waited for him to return. I went to the mall one day for my weekly shopping. After I had picked up a lot of nice, expensive dresses, I tried to pay with the card Gabriel gave me, but it wouldn't work, no matter how many times I tried. I think I took that as a wake-up call. I started job hunting, and eventually it paid off. I got a job at a restaurant where I served food, helped in the kitchen sometimes. It really helped improve my cooking skills. But still, every day I went to the house to check if Gabriel had returned. I sent him texts every day too, but days turned into weeks, and then a month. Still nothing from him. My guess is he relocated. I figure now I should focus more on making my life work than waiting for him. So yeah, I still live with my friend, but I'll be moving out soon to a small but cute studio apartment not too far from her place. All my friends are still very supportive. I mean, they probably blame me for screwing things up, but they're still there for me. Oh, and no more dating apps and men now. We're just working on me, and who knows? I might just open my own restaurant someday,